This video outlines the steps it takes in building construction. This is part 1 of it. So there's still going to be the part 2 and possibly part 3 outlining the steps it takes in building a house. But we are going to focus on a bungalow. The reason being that a bungalow is very simple, and once you understand the principle that guides the construction of a bungalow, it becomes easier for you to understand what it takes also in constructing a high-rise or a multi-level building. They are all based on the same principle. So let's delve into the video proper. What are the steps? Before you hit the site to do any construction works, there are prelims work you need to do off-site, and that has to do with your building professionals. The concept of the building you have in mind has to be put down in drawings on paper. So you may explain to your architect, your engineer, the concept you have in mind, and you'll be able to produce a drawing that replicates what is on your mind. At this point also, they will also determine the kind of foundation that can adequately bear the load of the building, so that once it is constructed, it will not give any problem. So once the drawing has been produced, the next step is to approach a government agency that approves building construction. For example, in Lagos, the agency saddled with that responsibility is LASPA, as Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority. Once you submit your drawings and other relevant documents, this agency will go through and grant the approval as they deem fit. So let me get to the point when the drawings have been approved and a permit has been issued for you to carry out your construction work. It is now time for you to hit the site. Now you are on site. What are the steps? The first step is site preparation. Before you start constructing your building, you need to prepare your site. So what are some of those activities that are involved in site preparation? This includes site clearance. There may be grasses, bushes, there may be debris on sites. These ought to be cleared out of the site. More so, there are some sites that have hilly parts and some parts that are low, like valley. So there has to be a part you have to cut and you have to fill some parts, which we refer to as cut and fill. Once this is carried out, you have a fairly level site for you to start your construction. But yet, the preliminary work or the site preparation is not done. There are other things you need to factor in. For example, where are you going to store your materials once they start coming on site? For example, where will you keep your cement? If proper arrangement is not made for this before the work is started, once the cement is brought to site and it is exposed to natural elements, within a short time, the cement will kick and will be unfit for use again. That will be a colossal loss. Apart from the cement, there are other construction materials that you need to think of how you are going to get them. And once they come on site, where you are going to keep or stack them. This may include your sharp sand, your granite, your wood you are going to use for your formwork, and the rest materials. This is necessary because there are other relevant government agencies that will come to your site to ensure that materials are not kept where they are not supposed to be. In another video, I am going to explain the relevant government agencies, especially in Lagos State, which I also believe applies to many other states of Nigeria, that have the responsibility to come to your site to check that things are being done the way they ought to, and why it is necessary for you to inform these ones before you start your construction work so that it will go itch free. So let's come back to the site preparatory works that you need to do before as the first step. So after thinking of where you stack your materials, where you build your temporary your temporary storage, and a word of caution here, when you are building your temporary storage facility, ensure that it is outside the building footprint so that you don't need to start relocating the storage shed again once your construction starts. Then you also need to think of the water you are going to use in construction. Where are you going to get your water, your good source of water, of course. Are you going to buy? Are you going to source for it on site? Are you going to put up a purifying system so that the water will come to standard to be used for your construction works? So those are some of the things you need to put in place as part of the site preparatory works before you start your construction works. And for some, at this point, they also put up a temporary hoarding for their sites. This may include using corrugated sheets to fence off the construction site so that passers-by may not know what is happening inside. And beyond that, it also helps to improve the security of the personnel and materials that are on site. There are other preparatory works or preliminary works that will be done in site preparation, but these are the basic ones that you ought to know so that you get your site prepared before the actual construction work starts. Now, after the site has been prepared, the next step is the foundation construction, which is referred to by professionals as substructure. So, what are the steps you need to take in constructing your foundation? Of course, before this point, the engineer may have specified the kind of foundation you are going to use. Since we are using bungalow as our case study now, let me make some assumptions here. Let me assume that the soil is firm, very firm, and it's a bungalow. So more likely, the engineer may have designed a shallow foundation for you. Shallow foundations like pad, like strip foundation, and similar shallow foundations. Before you start the foundation works, you need to set out the building. You do setting out. Setting out involves using pegs, profiles, lines, as in rope, to mark out the positions where you are going to dig and place your foundations. So this setting out, like other construction work, is to be done by professionals. So this video is like an advice that you should allow professionals to handle your construction works. But once you are able to get the basic steps that is involved in construction, even when you are employing someone to do it for you, or you are getting a contractor who is a professional to do the job, your conversation with him or her will be robust because you are coming from a position of knowledge. So your professional now is about to set out before he starts constructing the foundation, he has to set it out. In setting out, which I mentioned earlier on, it is a technical job, even if it looks very simple. This is because if the setting out is not well done, then the building will have a problem from the very start. So please ensure that the setting out is done by someone who is qualified.